Hi guys. So for Drawing Connections 3, I did mine on substance abuse disorder, the VA claims process, and then just reasons why certain veterans, may not seek treatment from the VA. So anyway, let's get started. Yeah. So all right, substance abuse disorder. Again, like this is from my experience, so I'm not sure how other people might feel. Alcohol was part of the military lifestyle. It was part of the military experience for me. Alcohol was any social function. It was after work. It was just, we even had a shop at across the street. So it was just a constant flow of alcohol. And it started out innocently enough, we were young, but as I look back, like it was a lot of heavy drinking. Substance abuse started with only alcohol, evolved into marijuana and cocaine after the deployment. Yeah, again, it started out with the alcohol abuse, but as we got back, I noticed it got a little darker. It wasn't as much guys going out to the bars and having fun. It became, you know, someone's drinking alone in their room, or a couple guys went off and they got high on cocaine, and we had a lot of failed piss tests. And I even remember one of my last tasks I had when I was Rear D was to pick up people from the brig that got locked up for cocaine. Opioid use disorder, a growing issue. It can start with pain control and slowly spiral out of control from psych armor. Yeah, I watched a little bit about opioid use and some of the different substance abuse videos from psych armor. And that wasn't something that I personally saw, but I can see how that is an issue, being that, in the military, injuries, come with the territory. So someone gets hurt, you prescribe them, oxycodone or whatever, Vicodin, and I can see how you're starting with pain, and now you're not just, you can get physically addicted. You might also be using it to cope emotionally with some of the different things you've gone through. Stress and military lifestyle can lead to substance abuse disorder amongst military spouses and children. That was interesting. You think of we tend to focus on the veteran or the member in the military and substance abuse. I never really thought of the effect of that on the children. Okay. Like, the secondary trauma, and then also just emulating behaviors. You see dad drinking every night or mom and dad drinking every night. Eventually you're going to emulate the behaviors of what you see. PTSD, substance use disorder, and homelessness, a troubling combination for Vietnam and post 9/11 veterans. Yeah, that seems to be definitely an issue. And I just spent the last 6 months working with many homeless veterans. And it seems like, PTSD, substance abuse are almost, they just come with each other. Veterans Affairs Disability and Claims Process. I did read the chapter in the book about this, but this is something that I have a lot of knowledge on. I've filed claims, I've had them denied, I've had them accepted, I've reconsidered. The only thing I haven't done is appealed one. I've reconsidered one. The VA claims process takes a long time. I think my quickest one was 6 months. Um, Many need assistance in preparing the paperwork for a VA claim, which can make them reluctant to file. I know this from talking to many veterans and also myself. You want to make that claim, but then you see the mountain of paperwork. You have no idea how to fill it out, and you don't even know where to begin. It took me being led to someone from the American Legion, and he handled all the paperwork for me, and that's how my claim process started. There's 8 steps in the VA claim process after receipt. Each take a varying amount of time. Yeah, and it can be discouraging because you could be at waiting for a decision, and it can go back to you know more evidence required. It's not something where it always is clean. Um, Claims have a better probability of being granted if filed within the 10 years of separation. That was something that no one ever told me when I was getting out of the military. I never understood. Um, Certain things are considered presumptive if you file them within a certain time frame of leaving the military. And if you wait, you now you have to prove it rather than it being presumed. And that can be the difference between ever having your claim approved. Um, Claims should be filed during the out processing or clearing from active duty. Clearing is when you either retire, leave active duty, or clear the duty station to go to another duty station. Yeah, and this is something again I didn't know. No one told me, but they have a VA claim physical where you go and they do your physical and you decide what you want to claim. So you could actually leave active duty. Sometimes some guys even know what their rating is, and some it's well in the pipeline. And that's the way to go. From reading the textbook, it sounds like they're better in preparing veterans for this. But when I was getting out, I didn't even know what a VA claim was. Denials Denials can be appealed, or you can ask for a reconsideration. Reconsideration is relatively quick, and appeal can take years. Yeah, reconsideration, they pretty much just look at your claim and they might send you for another CMP. That's the physical that's required. While an appeal is a whole different process. It goes to a board and eventually it gets reviewed, and that takes years. If discharged with other than honorable discharge, there are not any VA benefits. And I think there's some depending on your discharge, but like the VA claim, VA healthcare, if you have, a bad conduct discharge or anything that, is other than honorable, a dishonorable discharge, you don't qualify for anything. And I know that can be frustrating for some guys that, maybe spent 10, 12 years in the military and they made a mistake. And someone like me who did one enlistment, I'm, eligible, but that just goes back to like, kind of personal accountability. But at the same time, I feel like there needs to be some attention to that. Veterans and active service members' reluctance to seek help. This is from a TED talk I saw. I really enjoyed it. Service members are trained not to ask for help, not have empathy, and to suck it up from the first day of initial training. And that's true. From day one, you got the drill sergeant in this ear and right up here. And it's, and you're told that, hey, there's no emotion here. You perform. Diagnosis of mental illness can end a service member's career or keep them from getting promoted. I mean, I can't even imagine if someone was diagnosed with PTSD in my company, what would be thought of them if they had put in, if they were, if they tried to get, a promotion to E7 or E6 or whatnot. Like it would be the end of your career. So that's another reason why, someone comes back from deployment, they don't want to go to mental health set call because they don't want that label. Veterans view clinicians that work with them as unqualified if they're not veterans themselves. I've got this from the TED Talk. I think it was week 2 or 3. And yeah, and I've had that same attitude, like, well, you don't know what I go through. How can you help me? And that's tough. And that's, and I don't know how you break through to the guys and get the, or the guys and women and get them to seek help. There are many failures in VA hospital networks around the country that put veterans' lives at risk. And this is going to lead into the next one. This was in the New York Times, and I also put in the references something from ABC News, the local news station. I served with this man. He was a good guy. William Billy Hamilton was a soldier I served with who was involuntary hospitalized. He was discharged even though a bed was ready for him at a military hospital. He committed suicide hours after discharge. There's a lot of conflicting stories. Even in those 2 reports, I found little differences. I don't really know about his discharge and why. I do know he saw one of his friends killed in Iraq. He developed PTSD. He was also found to be schizophrenic after he got out. And his father, he had been hospitalized 9 times. His father had brought him to the VA, and the people at the hospital he was at, he ended up going to a local hospital because the VA didn't have space. They found a bed, but for some reason he was discharged after 72 hours when the bed was ready that night, and he jumped in front of a train a few hours later. And this hit our platoon and our company really hard because that was the first story of suicide we had since I was actually in a soldier committed suicide. So like, and why I put that in there is people hear these stories and they think, well, why would I go? They're not even going to help me, or I'm going to get lost in bureaucracy because no one actually cares. And those are the attitudes that a lot of service members have. Anyway, here are my references, and I saw Psych Armor, and I got the news articles you want to read about Mr. Hamilton. And anyway, thanks for watching, and I can't wait to watch yours. Have a great night.